So what does the ideal day look like? The day where you're creative and calm and focused and full of energy, allowing you to fulfill your potential and create an extraordinary life. Hi everyone, and welcome back to our series, a little mini-series on creating the greatest days over in order to live the life that you truly desire and fulfills your potential. In the previous video, we did this great exercise in order to create some urgency in changing things in our days to optimize them. Today, we will be doing another exercise, first imagining our ideal day and then adding some reality constraints on it. And when I say an ideal day, I mean magic wand, secret genie out of the bottle, anything is possible kind of a day. So let's begin, but before we do, if this is the first time you join us, my name is Raphael, and on this channel, we dig into essential and practical strategies of personal development and life management or personal leadership. We also have daily meditations, and this is one of my favorite personal development tools. So if these are subjects that you're interested in, and if you want to join us in designing the best life possible for you, yourself, and the people you love, then please subscribe to the channel. Okay guys, so let's get started, and as always, let's get practical. Remember that learning passively doesn't do much, so let's get right into the action taking. The exercise we are going to be doing today is taken from a book titled How to Think Like Leonardo Da Vinci. It's a really good book. I highly recommend you read it. It's by Michael Gelb. I will link it in the description of the video. On Amazon, you can read the first chapter or so, and so I would recommend that you have a look at the introduction at first. The name of this exercise is Angel's Advocate. So what would the ideal day look like to you? A great day, anything is possible, a genie in the bottle, magic wand, what would it look like? What would it feel like? What time would you get up? Who would you be with? Who would be with you? What would you do to get closer to your goals? What would you eat? How would you work out? Or how would you train your body? How would you train your mind and pamper your soul, your spirit? What would you do at work? How would you interact with people? You can imagine your ideal day, or you can also write it down in your journal if that helps, or on a piece of paper. Done? Okay, if you want, you can pause the video and do that. Again, do the exercises, be active. Only then can you go to step 2. And what is step 2? Here it goes. Start bringing in some small, tiny constraints of reality. You powder your ideal day with a few constraints of reality. You know, like when you powder icing sugar on top of a cake, that's what I want you to imagine here. Why? Well, your ideal day may not happen anytime soon, and that's normal, and that's perfectly okay. We don't want to be blind optimists here. We don't live in a fantasy world where everything is ideal. No, we live in reality and we embrace it. We know that we have responsibilities we need to attend to. We know that shit happens here and there. This is part of life, and this is what makes life exciting. It's a Stoic practice, and we talked about this in our video on positive affirmations from the Stoic. I will link it here, I guess, where Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, would remind himself every single morning, every day, just that. And I highly paraphrase this, by the way, because he was much more poetic than me and also wrote in Latin, if that adds to the poetry. But he would say something along the lines of shit happens, and people are going to try to kill me, to overthrow my power, to deceive me, to lie to me, to flatter me, and so on. He was not being a negative, grumpy old man. He was preparing himself, reminding us that just that shit happens, and sometimes you have to deal with constraints of reality that are not always pleasant to deal with, but you don't really have a choice. One thing is for sure, and we touched this on our last episode, you do not want to be a perfectionist. First of all, there's no such thing as perfection, is there? But even if there were something, somehow, being a perfectionist can only cause you a lot of suffering and a lot of angst and overwhelm. Things will happen that are out of your control, so you don't want to be a perfectionist, and you don't want to be a blind optimist either. I recently listened back to an old tape of Tony Robbins, one of his tape programs, and again I paraphrase here, and he says, don't be the type of person that is blinded by positive thinking, looks into his or her garden, sees weeds growing, and just close their eyes and repeating 1,000 times, there are no weeds, there are no weeds, there are no weeds. And then what? Well, those weeds will just take over your whole garden. They'll kill your flowers, your plants and fruit trees. No, what there are weeds in your garden, so make a plan and get your garden tools and take them out. Does that make any sense to you guys? So back to the exercise. We have our ideal day, a magical day. We added the constraints of reality, and now we just have to start dealing with those constraints or responsibilities. For example, well, there are only 24 hours in a day. Then you can look, okay, there's 24 hours, so this is the most important thing on the list. Maybe you have kids and you have to help them with their German verbs. Or one of my current constraints, of course, is the birth of my baby. You guys know I became a father a few months ago now, actually. It goes fast. And that certainly changed my reality as well as my routines. I call it a constraint in this context here, but of course, it's a happy constraint. So a question you may ask yourself in the morning, for example, could be, what would my ideal day look like today, given the constraints of my current reality? That's a really good question to ask yourself. And it really does not mean that you have to make your day worse. That doesn't mean that if you planned on getting up really early and meditate for 20 minutes, part of your best day possible, the ideal day, it doesn't mean that suddenly, because of your constraints, you'll allow yourself to push the snooze button 14 times. Remember, ideal day plus constraints of reality equal awesome day, a really good day. The last thing I feel is important to mention here is that you might not find your groove right away. In fact, you probably won't. This will take a lot of trial and error, time and patience. Journaling, recording what was good that day and what should be improved tomorrow is a great way to find this groove. But even when you get it, when you find your equilibrium between ideal and constraint, remember that shit always happens. So be prepared and don't close your eyes when someone throws you a stone. Okay guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please put the thumbs up, press the like button. If you've not done so already and you would like to have more of these videos and continue on this little mini series on creating the best days, or if you want to meditate with us daily, then please do press the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're alerted every time we post new content. That's it for me today. I hope you have an enjoyable day or an enjoyable evening, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.